Hi everyone, Scrappy Kathy here with a lift from Pinterest for off the board, and I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. I have kind of a sinus issue and a cough, and I prefer not to share that with the world. So I'm going to try to make this very quick, and I'll show you some of the things I'm going to use. I'll show you a couple techniques, and then at the end of it, I'll put it all together. I have some sewing, stitching to do, and I don't want to do that on camera. Actually can't do it on camera. So I'll tell you a little bit about my pen. I've had this on my board, on my two layouts to copy for a long time. I love it. What it is, when I read about the technique, it's different colors of Distress Oxide, making a rainbow. And then they've done some stitching right onto the paper. I'm going to do something similar to that. I'm not going to use all of these colors. I like that it's fairly simple. You could just leave it at the flowers, or you could add a few little bits here and there, and I'm probably going to reserve judgment until I've done the background and then done the stitching, and then put the photo on, and then I'll kind of see what moves me to add to it. I've got a little box of items here that I could add. The photo that I'm using is one of Ava, where it's just the silliest thing. It's a really bad photo, and it's been through the mill as far as being transferred from a really bad phone to Facebook and then brought back down and so forth. So what I've got is a few scraps. There's some heart paper and some hot pink paper. She's wearing flip-flops and a tutu, and who doesn't love an outfit like that? I'm going to try to match somewhat the colors in her outfit. I'm not going to hit it. The purple I have is a little purpler, a little pinker purple than this bluish purple that she's got here, but I think when it's all done, it'll go well enough. In my little box of tricks here, I have a purple framed journaling card. I have a pink llama with hot pink glasses, hot pink frame, another hot pink frame, this little case that happens to be hot pink and purple, these beautiful hearts, this cactus with a couple two-tone pink flower, an XO that's kind of a Maggie Holmes pink, which isn't exactly the pink I'm going with, but before it's over, I'm probably going to use every color that you could call pink in the book, so I'm not rejecting it now. I'm going to introduce some green with these leaves. I've got a little sticker that says this was magical, one that says Shine Bright. I've got this little jar of hearts, a strawberry for absolutely no particular reason, some gray leaves. This is from the Cocoa Vanilla Midnight collection. I thought I'd add a couple leaves if I like them. I have a package right here with lots more leaves, but I'm not quite sure how the black and white or gray and white or black and gray leaves will go with what else I'm doing, so I'm going to just kind of put it out there. I love this Cocoa Vanilla Rose, so I think I will use it. I have kind of a frame cluster here, a tiny little lavenderish pink heart. I like this frame cluster, and this has a nice purple popsicle there, and not to formalize it too much, I'd kind of pop dot that flower and see if I can work that around the photo, maybe like this. So all of those things are things I may do later. The big thing I wanted to show you is how awesome is this, looking at her expression and her position there in the, let me get this light on a little bit brighter. It's not coming on at all because somehow I must have pulled the plug out. So I'll work on that later. Anyway, there's a little a picture here on this piece of Cocoa Vanilla Flare that has a girl kind of with her hands up, just like Ava does in the photo. So I thought that would be perfect to work in somewhere. So I'm going to put this aside. We'll do the background, and then I'll build, while the background's drying, I'll try to start building the photo cluster, see how far we get within the time frame that I think my voice will last. I'm going to use this Vicki Boutin mixed media paper. It's magical stuff, and I'm planning to spray it with some water because why use water reactive distress oxides if you're not going to let that water react? That's actually one of the only things I don't like about the sample, about the pen I got from Pinterest, is these are absolutely straight and absolutely smooth, and they're almost too perfect, and you're not getting the distress part of the oxide. I mean, it's beautiful, and I wouldn't have pulled it if it weren't. And as you can see, the flowers match the colors of the stripes behind them. And I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm not going to go all over creation hunting for the right flowers. I'm going to color them myself, but they're not going to be solid like those flowers. I'm actually going to use something I got in a Pay It Forward box. It was started over in the Secret Not Secret Kit Club. It's the second time I've participated in it. And in the box that I received, I got this wonderful container of white flowers. So they're Prima flowers. I had some of these back in the day. These are dated 2013, but I'm almost sure that I had mine when we moved here from Houston in 2008. So I think that might have been and they probably are still selling them. So what I'm going to do, I've got a variety of distress oxides here, and each of these pads is about 2 by 2. We've only got 12 inches of real estate on the paper, so I can't do a whole strip. My idea was to have kind of an ombre effect with the darker colors, pink on one side, purple on the other, and the hot pink would fade down to a light pink, the bright purple would fade down to a lighter, kind of orchid color. So I realized that the purple I had, this Wilted Violet, isn't really the color that she's got here. Her outfit is a lot bluer. So I'm going to see how it works for us to kind of blend Faded Jeans and Wilted Violet. We'll see how that works out. And I can tell you now that pass or fail, whether the experiment works or not, and I use works in quotation marks, it's what I'm using. I don't consider it kind of has to be torn up and in a trash can in the process before I consider anything failed. This color right here is maybe more, that's really kind of exactly. Tell you what I'm going to do. Take back everything I just said. I'm going to put that off to the side, and I'm going to put Victorian Velvet there, and I'm going to go with this shaded lilac. And what I'll do is I'll let the picked raspberry kind of be the middle color, and then I'll do the others. I'll do it as though the lavenders I'll have 3 pinks and 2 lavenders, although the outside lavender will almost be the same color as the spun sugar over on the pink side. So let's see how this works. And hopefully all those pinks that we saw in the embellishments work out well because of the fact that I'm kind of mixing pinks here. So first thing I'm going to do is, and again, I'm not going for those perfectly straight lines, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to say this is kind of the middle. I'm going to drag it down, and I kind of like that. Actually, I'm going to leave that because I'm going to spray with water, and when I spray with water, that will probably get corrected. So what I may do is drag this one up from the bottom since it was pretty solid there. I'm going to space it over a little bit because I like having that white in between, and that gives me a stitching line. Okay, so that still is kind of tailing off down at the bottom, so we'll just live with that. Then we'll go over here and do the spun sugar. Let me turn this over, and I'll try dragging it down from the top. That's actually not really covering a whole lot. Okay, it doesn't really change it too much. Okay, the pinks are done. Let me go with the lavender here. For some reason, I'm picturing the lavender going to the left and the pinks going to the right. Let me do this. And that's kind of pretty. And it's perfect for her little outfit. Okay, and then milled lavender is going to be kind of off, sort of like this, let's see, what is that color? Worn Lipstick is next to the raspberry pink, but oh, that's beautiful. Actually, I like that. Okay, so the spreading is done. I'll keep these colors because the next step is to color the flowers, and I'll need all these colors. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is spray, and then we'll cross our fingers and see what happens. It's going to need to dry on its own. You can't heat dry this and get the same effect. I also want to do a few droplets. The spraying will give it one type of effect. The droplets will actually give it kind of a mottled effect, and I'd like to see that, especially on the purple and the hot pink. Okay, let me put this aside over the other part of the table so that I'm not likely to mess it up. And it's kind of mixing and swirling around, and I think that I like what it's doing. Okay, next I would like to, and I brought to the table, I thought I brought to the table a flick brush, and I'm not seeing it. It's a great, very loose flicking brush that, here it is. It's a Ranger Tim Holtz splatter brush. And I'm going to get some of these colors on the on the mat here, let's start with this lighter colored purple. We'll see how that works. And I will do a few of these on camera, and the rest of them I'll do off camera and put in the finished. Okay, we'll see how that works. What I want is to maintain the mostly white flower with some speckles of the color that I'm going to put it over on the sheet. This may not be as pronounced as I'd like, but I can add more later if that's important. Let me try one of the really large ones here, and I'm going to do a little more of the ink. It doesn't seem to be